Bookcase and Coffee presents Buzzing About Romance, a quick shot of romance.
Hey everyone, welcome back to A Quick Shot of Romance. It's me, Becky, I'm back. Hey Leah, how are you?
Hi, I'm good.
We're kind of under the wire on this one a little bit.
Just a little. We had some scheduling issues, so we had to move a couple things around, and there was a little hiccup on a couple books, but it worked out. So
it did work out. So on this episode of A Quick Shot of Romance, we are reviewing Stealing Sawyer by Samantha Christy. This is book 3 in the Perfect Game series.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And the synopsis from Goodreads.
Read us our synopsis.
Are we not going there yet?
That's okay. No, go ahead.
Okay.
Read us our synopsis.
I hired her to be my girlfriend, to fix my reputation, to save my career. It's not that I don't want a girlfriend. I do. I want it all. Wife, kids, side-by-side burial plots. The problem is I can't have any of it. So I've made myself untouchable. The quintessential bachelor of baseball. Basically, it's not worth the risk, not even for someone I love, especially not for someone I love. We made the arrangements. We agreed to a contract. It's ironclad. No sex, no love, no future. What could possibly go wrong? I apologize for that. That is my dog eating his antler in the background.
Okay. That floof is going to need to go to the basement. No, I'm just kidding. He's fine. If anybody hears thumping, it is a dog. It's a floof. So the release date on this was first published September 20th of 2018. She has done 2 revisions to it since. I'm sure they're minimal mistake type things.
And she just released new covers recently too.
Oh, okay. So the tropes in this book are baseball, fake relationship, meet cute, unknown identity, playboy, slow burn, one night stand. Steam level was a 3. It starts with a bang, but then it goes to a really slow burn after.
It does, yeah.
And the angst is this a 3, but it's almost a 4 because there's quite a bit of angst in this book.
There is, yeah.
So a lot of back to forth.
There's a lot of back and forth, and it is not Aspen. It is Sawyer based angst. A lot of times the angst is both sides of it, but a lot of it is one-sided, and a lot of it's internal, too.
Yeah. We should also state that this is Kindle Unlimited, so you can read this if you're part of Kindle Unlimited for free. And it is also a baseball read. So this was part of one of our reading challenges for April. April's prompt was a baseball romance, and this is one of, I think I'm now up to 4 or 5 baseball romances that I have read.
I know.
This month.
Because once we started looking at them, we're like, ooh, this one sounds good and this one sounds good. And this is book 3 in the series, but you do not have to read book 1 and book 2. It holds up very well as a standalone.
Yeah, and I did. I personally did read this as a standalone, but you've read the whole series, right?
I have read the whole series, yes.
Okay, so let's get into our thoughts. Let's, talk about all this.
Yes.
The trade that started it all.
The trade that started it all. So Sawyer is kind of a hot mess outside of the baseball field. He is in the tabloids a lot. He is known for sleeping around. And so his team has threatened that if he cannot clean up his act off the field and make changes, they are going to trade him because they don't want to deal with his antics anymore.
Yeah, the baseball team is located in New York City. He is a quintessential playboy. He has girls all the time. He picks girls up out of the stand that he thinks are sexy, and has ushers go and grab them so that they can meet him in the waiting area after the game. So he is a hookup king for sure.
Yes.
So yeah, he kind of comes off. So he kind of comes off as a douche nugget, but he is teachable. He's a very goal-oriented individual. He does not want to be his father. My heart did break for him. He does have a fairly tragic backstory.
He does. But I think part of the issue is he's almost naive in his thought process because his father abused his mother. And he talks about he loved her too much. But I think he's 25. but he's very naive in the thought process of like, that's the reason he abused her. Like he never looked past the real reasons. Like he never thought like, my father's just an abusive asshole. Like,
right. And the alcoholism and all of that kind of stuff. Like he didn't really go above, or he didn't go below the surface when looking at that relationship with his father. He just saw his father as a violent man who killed his mother and
then started abusing him.
So Sawyer, he does pull at your heartstrings, but just remember, he is a bit of a playboy, total dog. Like even his friends make fun of how much of a dog he is. Like,
well, and like he knows it too. Like he has no apologies for the fact that he is like a douche nugget of a playboy. Like, he's very like, you don't want to like him because he's very self-centered, very like it's like all about Sawyer. Like, I'm going to do this. Like, I don't really care about anything else. Like he loves his friends and he's great with his friends and he has good relationships with his friends. But when it like in those, there are certain moments when it's just him or him and Aspen, and he's just so Sawyer. Like it's all about Sawyer.
Yeah. So let's talk about Aspen a little bit. You mentioned her. So before we get to how they end up meeting, quote unquote, Aspen, I think, comes off as a little naive. She has a lot going on. Her brother is in a very tricky situation. He inadvertently ended up in a part of a Ponzi scheme. He is her twin brother. And he took the fall for the whole Ponzi scheme, but he's a police officer. So it sounds like it was some tiered investment type situation.
He's a rookie police officer at that. So like, because they are only 23, like 22 or 23 in this book. So like they're still young. Like they have a lot of growing to do. So I think like he was trying to branch out and create good relationships, and it backfired on him, and he got screwed. And so she's dealing with that, like how she's going to help him pay for that, and wants to go to grad school and pay for that. And
and she's a musician at Juilliard. They actually do come from a fairly wealthy family, but tragedy struck and their parents have passed. And so she is in New York trying to finish her degree in music. She's a pianist. And so she's trying to complete that degree, wants to go to grad school because she knows she really won't be able to do anything with her life if she doesn't complete the entire program. So there is some of that little bit of naive too, could be just sheltered, that, when her parents were alive, she didn't really have to worry about where money was coming from, how things were going to work out. She was, sheltered by a family that took care of her. So that, I think that plays into a little bit of her personality and who she is and how she interacts also.
Right. And like I said, she's young too. So like she's still like, she hasn't really been out in the world on her own too much. Because I mean, I know at 23 and I'm ready to graduate from college, like I was still pretty out of touch with some things. So,
well, for sure. So let's talk about their meet cute.
Yes.
It is a very good meet cute
too.
Right.
So she is walking down the street and gets splashed by a puddle.
A bus.
And is a bus. Like, so a giant
bus drives through the puddle.
A puddle wave splashes her. So she's dripping. They run into each other. She has no clue who he is. Like, not a clue.
Right. She's clueless. She does not follow baseball. She's a musician. So it is of zero interest to her. Like, she doesn't recognize his face or know anything about him. And here he is, this poster boy for being the playboy and, the man that gets all the ladies. It's a little shocking to his system in a good way that she has no clue who he is, because he's just been told, clean up your act or you're out of here. And she's in a situation where she's close to graduating with her 4-year degree. She wants to do this grad school program that she was accepted to, but she doesn't feel like she can say yes because of the financial
all the stuff
issues
that's happening, yes, with her brother.
Right. So it's a hard moment for them, but they end up in the bar together having drinks, and things progress pretty fast. And, here he is told, stop hooking up with randos. Stop being a playboy.
And he hooks up with a rando.
And not even 3 hours later, he's going home with this random girl. And,
And
totally...
he even makes the comment, I can't make it one night. Like he knows.
Right. Well, and he is in a, so in this situation, he has kind of a playbook that he follows when he has a one night stand. Usually he takes girls to the hotel. He doesn't take them back to his house. In this instance, he went back to her apartment. He usually leaves before breakfast, has a continental breakfast delivered at the hotel, and doesn't look back. One and done is his thing. Yes. And in this situation, he leaves her house early in the morning before she wakes up. But then he goes down the street to the coffee shop and decides that she is the answer. She is the solution to his problem.
Yeah.
And he goes back to the apartment and knocks on the door, and she answers it. At this point, she's angry. Or no, at this point, she's surprised to see him. She thinks he has stalked her because she has no recollection of their night together.
She remembers being at the bar and meeting him and drinking, and him mentioning taking her home.
Right.
But then nothing after that.
Nothing.
And he's a douche nugget and takes advantage of the situation.
Well, he didn't know there is a reason why she can't remember, and I don't want to spoil that for anyone, but consent was given in that situation. So there is no question of consent. Something else happens that causes her not to remember the evening, but it does end up coming back to her. So a little bit, let's talk about Danny, who's in Sawyer's life. The way this part is written, you're expecting what it's going to be.
But it's not.
It is not what you're expecting it to be. No. And
I thought that it was really well written because the character is written one way, and the interactions when you meet Danny, you are expecting something, and you don't. It is not your expectation is. The first time I read it, I was like, "Whoa!" I was not expecting that.
It wasn't
at
either.
All.
It was a very well done twist. It explains a lot. And I don't, like I said, I don't want to give anything away, but in this instant, this was so well done and so unexpected. And I commend the author on this because I totally thought it was going to play out in a very stereotypical way. And it didn't.
But it didn't.
And then it explained and justified so many things that were problems with Sawyer's personality. And we do get little glimpses of Sawyer's co-players or teammates, not co-players. What the heck, Becky? So we do co-players. That is the new word for teammate. They're the co-players.
#co-players.
#opause. Anyway, so we do get small little glimpses of Sawyer's teammates and fellow baseball players who are from book 1 and book 2, and their
wives.
Their wives are HEAs. I'm not sure the one couple is married yet.
Yes, they both are.
Are they both are married?
Yeah.
So that was really interesting. How they were just, so it's a fake relationship trope. Sawyer knows he needs to clean up his behaviors, and he feels that Aspen is the solution to that. They're going to have a fake relationship, but they feel that they need some support of their friends. Her friend causes angst.
Yes.
And he needs a dick punch more than once. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah.
He's totally not a likable character. And I know he has a book, but I just don't forgive him. I find him to be a bit twerpy. So
I have not read his book. I haven't read the next series because her brother actually gets a book in the new series also, because like she does like 3 chunks. But I haven't, because I didn't like him. Like, I did not like Bass at all. And I was like, I don't know if I can like him. And it made me kind of sad because I typically love her books, but he was so, I can't even describe.
I think he's a narcissist. I think he is a total narcissist. He reads as a narcissist. His behaviors are narcissistic. Like, I just didn't love him. Anyway, so no more time on him. But Sawyer's friends, the wives are amazing, and I love them, and they added a real depth to the character and to the fake relationship that I just really loved, and their connection to Aspen.
And I love, like, they knew that it was fake, but they saw the reality of what was happening. Like, because they know Sawyer, like they've been around Sawyer for a while. Like, they see that he is different with her, and they bring Aspen into the fold without question. Like, they envelope her into like their friend group and like introduce her to other friend, like wives of like people that they know also. And so in Aspen, like, she's a hard time accepting that because she's like, what's going to happen? Like, I'm friends with them now, but when we're done with this, like, where does that leave me?
And I will say, so sometimes a lot of people don't love the fake relationship trope because they go into it kind of blind and it's not really thought out, at least to the main characters, which leads to mishaps and problems. But in this instance, they were very smart the way they went through it. They created a contract, and he was going to pay off basically her brother's debts in the end when everything was said and done. But it was just really well done, the way that they handled the fake relationship trope to make it a little more believable. So just one more thing that I want to touch on. Sawyer is kind of clueless about people. He's not very good at flirting or the taking care, comfort aspect of a relationship. She has to basically teach him what love language is and how to care for your partner without just doing things like small touches, small gifts, small moments. And his cluelessness, I think it's because, relationships not really his thing. It's more sexual gratification.
Well, and I think it's partly the fact that he never had to work for that. Like, he basically was like, let's do this. Right. And like women would jump to that. And like, so he never had to worry about like the subtle nuances of getting to know somebody, or like the subtle nuances of like making them feel important. Cause I mean, they'd go to a hotel, he'd cater them breakfast. Like, that was like the send off. And like, and I felt bad for Aspen like a couple of times throughout the book, because like there were women that like she ran into and they're like, this is what he does. Like, are you waiting for your catered breakfast? And so I felt bad because like she had to deal with that, but she dealt with it very maturely and was like, it sucks that like this is the situation I'm in, but I can't do anything about it.
Well, yes. Yeah, I think so. So, okay. So let's get to the final buzz because we're getting close to our 20 minutes. So final buzz. Did you like this book?
I did like this book. Honestly, in this series, it's a tie between this one and Benching Brady, which is book 2 for my favorite in this series. Okay. What about you? Did you like this book?
I did like this book. There's a couple of baseball inconsistencies, which I wouldn't have even thought of, except we had a check-in with our Patreons for book chat, and one of our patrons, Lindsay, brought up how sports inaccuracies bug her, and I'm not huge on baseball. Isn't a sport that I follow. I don't really follow any sports people, let's be honest. I'm not athletic. But I do know like the way the trade goes down, that kind of stuff doesn't happen. Like, they wouldn't pull him into their office. It would have gone through an agent.
Yeah. Exactly.
So it was just a little thing, but other than that, I really did like it. I think overall it was a great fake relationship trope. So,
yeah.
So who would typically like this book?
Any sports romance fans. That it's not super sports heavy, which I liked, Like they talked about it. It was brought into the story, but it wasn't like the focal point of the story. Fake relationships. And if you like a little bit of a damaged hero.
Yeah. For sure. It's fake relationship trope, contemporary romance readers, I think, would thoroughly enjoy this book. It's a well done fake relationship trope. Again, the baseball, if you are looking for a very accurate, pure sports baseball romance, you might want to save this one. Okay. Would you recommend this book?
I would, and I have recommended this book. What about you?
I would. I actually did too for somebody else that was looking for the baseball romance for the month. I recommended it to them. I like her writing style. I enjoy the story. I am interested in the other books of the series. I would totally read Aspen's brother's story, but I am not reading Bassett's story.
Maybe I'll have to read it and see if it's worth it.
I don't know. I do not know. But again, maybe he redeems himself. Not everyone's freaking Nico.
Freaking Nico. Anyway,
thanks everyone for hanging out with us for this quick shot of romance, and we'll catch you next time. Happy reading.
Bye, everybody.
Find us on Instagram at BuzzingAboutRomance or on Twitter at BuzzingRomance. If you like the podcast, please leave a review. If you'd like to support us directly, join the Bookcase and Coffee Patreon and receive exclusive content only available to Patreon members. Check out bookcaseandcoffee.com for our on-the-shelf show notes.